Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Music Box, a new show where I, enjoyer of music, assign an album to my friend, Pyrine.
Hi.
And after listening to it for a while, we meet up and discuss it. In this week's episode, the first episode, we are talking about Smile by Porter Robinson. As you guys who are more familiar with me may know, I love this album. I have a long history with this album. Well, as long as it can be. It only came out like in the middle of last year. But I am a cherisher of Smile. Actually, unlike a lot of the test runs we've done for this bit, I didn't assign this one to Pyrine. He decided he was going to listen to it on his own. For context, we've done a few test runs of this, and I think we're finally at a point we can do it, but...
Hopefully. We don't want more junk data. We've done like 3 of these.
Yeah, no. He decided to listen to it on its own, so I'm really curious as to what he has to say about it. Now, to give a little brief on the album and Porter as a whole, I've made a whole video on it. I'm going to promote here and say that's in the description if you want to watch it. But it's his third album after Nurture, which was his first album in like 7 years. It talks a lot about his struggles with being very famous and an artist who is loved by a lot of people, how that affects him emotionally, mentally, socially, among other things. And I think it's a really powerful record. So what do you have to say about it?
I should start off by saying the kind of like idea we had going for this whole podcast thing is that Mr. Bimler here is very, very in-depth like the music community. He listens to a lot of stuff, and I'm very stupid and dumb, and I don't know much about music. So the kind of idea is listening to someone who has a lot of interest and experience in the field and someone who has nothing kind of going on to it. I really hadn't heard of the album until, like, Mr. Bimler said it. I knew of Porter Robinson. I listened to a few songs of his in the past before, and I liked it. I was a fan. I think my favorite in the past was Sad Machine, especially the concert version. That was a very good one I really enjoyed for a while. It's like an 11-minute song, and it's like a fucking
I didn't even
trip.
know you were on
so
that.
Good.
That's real. The Sad Machine live version is crazy. Sorry, go on.
I never really looked more into Porter after that. But I remember watching his video on it and being like, wow, this actually sounds pretty good. Maybe I should take a look at it. I had planned on taking a look at it, but for one reason or another, I didn't end up doing it. Mostly because I'm a lazy bastard and I have a lot of things I need to look at anyway. But point is, I figured it would be probably like a good place for us both to start. It's a pretty well-known album from a really well-known creator, so a lot of people know it. And I guess to start off with my opinion out of the gate, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very, very good, solid album.
I'm glad. I mean, the thing about Smile for Porter is that, like, the thing that worries me for, like, especially somebody like you who's been to a lot of his older stuff, is that it's weirdly polarizing, because even though I'd say it's a really accessible album, it's different. It's not very EDM, whimsical, like a lot of stuff on Worlds, and even a little bit of Nurture. I feel like the pop rockiness of Smile turned some people off of it, and I kind of hate that, because I really love that sound. I think Porter knocks it out of the park on here, because it's just so fun, and a lot of its moodier moments really let the rawness of Porter just fully seep in. I mean, like, I don't know. I guess, like, take a song like Knock Yourself Out. We'll start going through the songs, because Knock Yourself Out is like the perfect example of this. I feel like if I had spent most of my music career like nostalgically living through like Sad Machine and Goodbye to a World and like Language, and then I hear Knock Yourself Out, I'm like, what the hell is this? This guy's selling out. This guy's flipping off all of his fans. Screw this Porter guy. But it's like the fact that he is doing that, he is kind of flipping off of his fans a lot and being very braggadocious is kind of the perfect way to open the record. And he is. Don't laugh at my word choice.
I'm not laughing. I just think it's good. It's esoteric. I'm glad you're branching out and using more of a wider vocabulary. It's good character development.
This guy's patronizing me. I can't believe it.
I'm nice. I'm nice. Just a nice guy.
No, but I think it really. The album wouldn't work with a song like Knock Yourself Out because it's like the first side of the coin that the album explores in a way. It's him feeling very like standoffish from his like perspective of being stupidly famous and an artist who wants to change and being afraid that people won't understand that. This is him saying, fuck you, I don't care. And as we'll soon very quickly find out, he does, which I think makes the song work.
It's very indicative of the entire album. It's not like a space where it's like, what is he doing? No, you get like that first song, Knock Yourself Out, will immediately tell you what you're in for. I personally don't mind the change. I like Porter's old songs, I always will, but in the case that it's more of just different, I think that's fine. Like, a creator can always do different things. They can make different stuff. The older stuff is a lot more esoteric, strange. It was very different from like a lot of people are used to. Well, this might be a bit more like, I guess, what people would expect, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, the entire album goes over that, and I personally enjoy it. But I love music like that.
He's Taylor Swift. Did you know that?
Is he?
Yeah, he says it in the song. He's Taylor Swift. Honestly, since the album came out, my opinions on Taylor Swift have changed dramatically. Yeah, it's a lot of
I don't know,
insight.
When a creator says something, like when someone with enough following says something, it's just true. Like, reality will alter. If you have over 1 million followers and then you go and say, like, the president has, I don't know, a chicken head, you will see Donald Trump walk on stage and, like, undergo a metamorphosis. You'll hear, like, the bones,
like
a
Kafka-esque transformation. Like, he'll just start morphing on stage.
Yeah, no, he'll drop to the ground. Like, his veins will bulge out of his neck. And
he'll start convulsing.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Why would you say that?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I love the president of the United States, and I would never say anything bad about him. God bless America. I will say, I think Knock Yourself Out, as well as the other first 3 songs of the album, are just my favorite songs in general on the entire album. I think it is, in my opinion, the strongest part. I don't think any song is bad. I don't think any song is like unenjoyable to me, but I definitely think they hit you really hard in the opening, and it is very, very enjoyable. And then afterwards, it kind of goes down a little bit, and it comes back up a little bit at the end. Nothing's bad, but I really, really like the first 3 songs.
I will say, I feel like that's definitely like, and I don't mean to reduce your opinion here, because I was gonna say a lot of people say that, and I totally get why. I mean, those 3 songs are top half of the album for me, and Russian Roulette's probably my favorite. We'll get to Russian Roulette. I think that's objectively the best song on the album. But track 2's Cheerleader. Fuck that song. that is the song of the summer. I don't care what Brat cooked up. Brat was pretty great. Cheerleader was the song of the summer for me. That song is crazy catchy. The vocal performance on it, whatever heaven was injected directly into that synthesizer to make that lead on the chorus is wild. It's such a good song. And it feels a lot like Knock Yourself Out, but you can definitely tell the mask is slipping a little bit, and it really provides more insight into where the album's going. It's such a good song. And
I remember I listened to Cheerleader for the first time. It was around like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was in my car and I was driving to the hardware store.
Yes.
And I swear to God, this is like, it's one of those things where immediately your brain switches on to like, you're remembering this for the rest of your life. I can so fucking clearly see like the stop signs, the lights in the distance all like blurring together by me as I'm going like 10 to 20 over the fucking speed limit, just listening to this song, banging my head so loud, I'm probably gonna like get into a wreck. It was so good. It's just got so much energy and soul to it. Like, the one thing that like stuck with me is just that like main line is just like, it will just take your soul out like fucking strings and just play them like a violin to me, which is so good. I love it when music does that. Just immediately cuts through the bullshit, cuts through all the fluff, and just says, hey, I'm gonna grab you by like the neck and just inject straight emotions into your cerebral spinal column. I'm like, yes, give me that, please.
You tweeted about it
really,
too.
like, a lot of really good. I did. it was a good tweet. I make I like a lot of good tweets, but I was gonna say it's also a lot of really good lyrics during this song. Let's see if I marked any on this because I tend to mark them on my little note sheet right here. And I guess I didn't do it. But there is a lot of good ones. I especially just like the main line. It's not fair because I knew you like the back of my hand.
Yes.
I thought that was very good.
Cheerleader deserved to be nothing. Like it had to be a single. It was gonna be the single. It's probably the most loved song on the record, besides maybe Russian Roulette. And we'll talk about that song now because that is like unapologetically the highlight on this record. I think, like, just by nature of it being the powerhouse that it is, as long as it is, as progressive as it is, being a single, like they literally played the fucking bridge to go into the new year at a concert. Like, it was sick. I wish I could have been there. But no, Russian Roulette is, there's not much to say about this song that I don't think's been said already. Like, it carries the momentum of the first two songs perfectly, but is such a big tonal shift. Going from Knock Yourself Out, which is upbeat and fuck you, and then Cheerleader, which is very loud and like passionate, but still a very happy sounding song, into Russian Roulette, which is scatterbrained all over the place and just like, oh god, it's cool. It's really cool.
I kind of alternate between Cheerleader and Russian Roulette, which one's my favorite. It's kind of just whichever one I'm listening to at a time, like, oh, that's got to be my favorite. No, that's got to be my favorite. It's hard for me to pick. If I had to, like, really commit to one, I'd probably only say Cheerleader just because I like the main line more. Yeah. But I gotta say, Russian Roulette is so fucking good. Like, the way it just jumps around, the way it carries on the message while still being, like, independent, it could still stand on its own, is very, very solid to me. It's not like you have to listen to the entire album to get it, though it does certainly improve it. That's the thing I really like about most of the songs in this album. They stand very well on their own. True. They obviously tell a story when they stick together, and they emphasize the overall like idea, but it's less like each one is a chapter of a story and more like each one is an independent piece. They all have like the ingredients there. They all have their own message. For example, Russian Roulette, short attention span, struggling with that, and trying to make it, a modern day where everyone's just like, oh, scrolling through TikTok, a million likes, I can't look for more like 5 seconds at a time. Yeah, it does that. But every single song has something like that. It gives it like a lot more, I think, longevity than a lot of albums might have. It always means that you can come back and listen to it. You can come back to listen to anything, which I think in terms of like practicality is also very good. And it helps a lot with my enjoyment because I have a very short attention span and I can't always listen to like every single piece of the puzzle. Sometimes I just want something silly. Sometimes I just want something that's going to make me crash my car and go 40 in the highway on the left side of the road and wrap it around a large oak tree. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think they pay that monkey royalties like Pitchfork does?
I wouldn't bet on it, dude. Look, I've taken a look at the monkey union pages for the workers' rights, and it's looking south. A lot of the higher up decisions aren't even made by like trueborn monkeys. It's mostly apes and gorillas and like orangutans.
Oh,
the primate community is kind of in shit right now.
Yeah, that's awful, man. I hope they figure that out.
Funny monkey.
Yeah, he took a piss in his own mouth. That was like fucked up.
He did.
I like what you mean when you said that there's like pieces of the puzzle, but you can enjoy those pieces on their own. I think the best albums do that. I think Smile perfectly does that, as every song is about something different. Even Russian Roulette, well, especially you could argue Russian Roulette, as that one's the most directly about like having a will to live and not like being willing to throw your own life away over stupid decisions or hurting yourself for the sake of art or anything like that. It's really powerful.
Don't kill yourself, you idiot.
Yeah, don't do that. The robot voice from Fit or Happier told me to not do that. You don't understand that. I haven't gotten you on the brain rot yet. You don't know if Fit or Happier.
I'm just gonna agree. I'm just gonna agree with whatever you say. If I don't get it, I'm gonna pretend like I know.
This guy's a pig in a cage on antibiotics. Can you fucking believe it? Can you believe it?
What the hell does that mean?
It's okay, buddy. Someday you'll get it. Someday you'll understand. Anyway.
He hates me.
I don't hate you. I'm just speaking the truth.
Why don't we talk about the next song?
What, Perfect Pinterest Garden?
Perfect Pinterest Garden, exactly.
Yeah. I you know what? That song, I've really had grow on me recently, which is weird because I loved it at first, and then it kind of like weakened on me a little bit. I was like, yeah, it's a good song, but it recently kind of shot back up for me. I really like it. I think it's got a great sound. I think what Porter says on it comes off kind of like Knock Yourself Outy, but is strangely profound. And is really cool. It kind of it's more of a mask slipping kind of thing, and I think it fully gets unraveled in the next track, which I cannot wait to talk about. But Perfect Nature's Garden really kind of shows that, like, not even a standoffish, like, yeah, fuck you kind of frustration, but just like a genuine anger in it, which is weird because it's a very happy-go-lucky kind of song, very bouncy, very cheerful, but what he says in it is just, I don't know. Dude is mad. He's pissed off at he's pissed off at people. He's pissed off at the world. He's pissed off at himself. Like, it's really cool. I love a lot of the. Sorry, go on. I don't want to.
No, I was gonna say I totally agree with that. I think it's really impressive how a lot of like music creators can not only speak through their lyrics but speak through their music at the same time, because I think it's absolutely intentional, that it's meant to sound, very, very happy, very, very like, oh, we're just like we're happy, we're good in it. And then it's like when you actually listen, when you actually care enough to listen to what he's saying, it's like, holy shit, this guy is gonna hit me with a semi-truck. It's that kind of thing that I really, really like. It's indicative of how Porter was feeling. Like, doesn't really feel seen, doesn't really feel like he's being understood, doesn't really feel like he's putting on his best face to these people, and it's frustrating because he has to keep, smiling. Name of the album, it's appropriate. It comes in, and it adds a lot to, I think, the substance. I'm not always one to, like, advocate for, I think, theming and substance over what just, to me, is just good musical play. But Porter does a very good job of weaving those together and making it more just like a tapestry, like a full picture, where every single part, the lyrics, the underlying tones, and of course the instrumentation, and of course the general way you would even listen to it as a viewer, makes it a lot more enjoyable for me. It gives it a lot more to chew on. It gives you a lot more to look back on, which helps.
But sorry, I just made my billionth dollar.
The Bitcoin mining operation going on. Children in the mines mining up that precious depleted uranium.
Of course, yes. I needed to get my new suit tailored, made out of vibranium.
Hold on. I think our voice modulators are off. Let's turn that on.
Oh, sorry. Give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. So, I love Perfect Nature's Garden. Okay. I think it's really, like, weirdly powerful, even though it's very easy to write off. It's just like a kind of a nothing song. It's not that. But a song that I don't think you can ever, in good faith, write off as a nothing song is Year of the Cup. This song, when I first listened to the album, was my least favorite song on the record. It is now top 4, at least, for me. I adore Year of the Cup. I think it is a phenomenal song. I think it's gorgeous. First of all, its instrumentals, beautiful. The like grainy guitar with that piano is just, it feels like I'm being lifted into the air. The Lil Wayne sample is perfect for what he ends up talking about in the song, and provides an undertone of a creative growth and a career as well. And I think what Porter says is the most honest he's been on the record up until this point, even with Russian Roulette. And he's just very... This song hits. This song, like, it hits hard, man. I love it. I'm curious what you think about it, though, because it is a more divisive track.
I'm trying to think of what is a good way to say this. I do enjoy it. I think it's a good song. I wouldn't say it's my least favorite on the album. I'm not really sure what my least favorite would actually be, because some of them are kind of equal to me. But it definitely is a point where it's like, if I was listening through this, I might skip through this song, only because it is, to me, just getting over that edge where if it makes sense, it's a bit more substance than style. I get what it's going for, and I like it, and I do enjoy that message that it's trying to go for, and I think it's good for that. But it does kind of start to drag on for a bit, and to me, it makes it a little bit, at least less enjoyable as an independent track. Not to the point it's bad, not to the point I would hate it, not to the point where I would say that, oh, if I was listening to this, I would probably skip through it. But it is definitely like, maybe it's not my favorite for that reason alone.
I guess
But I
that's
don't think it's
fair.
bad.
I do think it is, like, I mean, I don't know, it's not even I think it is one of the less like immediate songs on the album. Like I said, it took me a second to like fully appreciate this song, but I think it's, I don't know, I love it. I've come to appreciate every like nook and cranny of the song, the way the audio like glitches out at parts, the way the Lil Wayne feature sample on the track kind of intertwines with what Porter says and how those things kind of interact. And more than anything else, what he's actually saying on the song. Like, obviously, a highlight of it being the ending bit where he goes like, I asked you if I never changed, would you love me? Clever, turning the question around to me was obvious. I kind of understood what that meant immediately. Apparently, it took some people some time. I remember reading a tweet about it, and somebody was like, I just realized what this meant. And I'm like, sure, but God, it's so that question is ow, because I feel like we've all kind of thought that at some point. Like, if I never change, would people still appreciate me, or would I just get old to them? But
yeah,
if a friend of yours asked you that, you'd be like, "What are you, crazy? What the fuck?
I'm static. I never change. I'm gonna be like this for 100 years. I'm never gonna change. I think it actually is a good message though. Like the idea of, do people want me to be miserable and fucked up because that's like the best side of me? That's where the best like things come out. That's where my talent is the strongest. That's where I can perform the best. But in the end, I don't feel good about that way. Should I change even though people might be upset about that? It's something that I really, really like. It is something I can quite handily appreciate and relate to as a person who can put on a persona a lot of the time, as I imagine a lot of people do. Which I think is why I think at least the message for me is probably one of the strongest in the entire album. And that I think is probably the reason why I still do like and appreciate Year of the Cup. I think out of all the songs, it might have the strongest message for me.
And I think it's reflected very well in the next track. Hold on. It's the next. I always forget. I'm gonna be so real.
It's
I'm gonna be
Mason.
It's Kintsugi Mason. I was gonna say Easier to Love You, but I always get the order of those two flipped in my brain for some reason. But yeah, that I think is kind of reflected in Easier to Love You, but we'll get there. For now, Kitsune Maison Freestyle is really interesting because I was there for the single rollout of this album, and this song was the last single. And it was weird. when Kitsune Maison Freestyle dropped, I remember talking to my friends about it and like seeing on the internet, people were like, this one's different. Because the first three singles were the first three songs on the record, which are like the most upbeat songs on the record. Kitsune Maison is a bit more eclectic, a bit more low key. But I think it's really it's great. I don't think it's like a favorite for me, but I do really like the song and I appreciate it being here. And I do think was a much needed song as a single, because if every song that was a single was like the upbeat, powerful ones, then nobody would listen to the album, because the most catchy moments have already been here. Everything else you have to dig deeper for, and I don't think it would have done very well. So Kitsune Maison being a single, I think, really helped with expectations. But the song itself, first of all, I think the chorus is really sticky, and I don't think people appreciate that enough. It is. It's not catchy, but like it just like, I mean, it's very easy to remember, and it kind of just seeps into the song. It doesn't really feel super standoffish as a chorus. It just kind of flows through the verses. The verses themselves are pretty all right. I'm not crazy about some of them. Like, I do think, I love when he kind of starts getting a little rappy, when he's like, all of y'all remind me of each other. I don't even know where I'm at. LM, undercover. I spend my money, then I get it all back. I might do a song with your mother. I think she'd want to see me on the track. Like, it can be really fun. But I don't know. I feel like the biggest issue with Kitsune Maison is picking a side, because it kind of wants to be fun and it kind of wants to be like Year of the Cup, and it doesn't, I think, manage to do either as best as it could. I think the only the only point it fully manages to hit that for me is the little like spoken word bit at the end where he talks about his teeth. I think that bit kind of hits. But the rest of it is like, it's a good song. I'm glad that it's here. I'm not very passionate about it.
I agree. I'm not especially passionate about it either. I thought it was very solid. But I think every single song is at least solid. I didn't mind the lyrics so much as you did. I thought some of them were pretty good. Let me see. I wrote down one I thought was pretty good. Everything you thought you wanted was made out of nothing. I enjoyed that one.
Yes.
I think they repeated that a few times. I thought that one was pretty solid. And of course the part about, I can't get the teeth my mom gave me back in my mouth. That was very good too.
Yes.
For a part that's mostly just substance, I thought that was a good use of it. That was a good use of breaking away from the music and actually saying something. Trying to look good, trying not to feel bad. But I will say it's not like One I'll Die on a Hill For. I definitely think when it comes to the album, that's probably when it's like at my lowest for enjoyment, just because it's not like it doesn't like speak to me. It doesn't vibe with me some of the ways that some of the other music does. But I think after here, it kind of starts to go back up. It's a bit of a U shape, I think, my enjoyment of this album is, where it kind of starts going down after Russian Roulette. Then it kind of hits this, I want to say, not like bad, but, just not my favorite. Then it starts going back up with Easier to Love You, which I think is a good transition to Easier to Love You,
yes.
Which I did like.
I will say one more thing about Kitsune Maison. That line in the chorus you mentioned is really good as well. I want to mention another line in the chorus, which is kind of almost criminally sped over in the song, which is the line, "Every cliche is true," which I think is a really cool line. There's other songs in his discography where he talks about cliches. I think this line, it's very simple, but it's very evocative for me in a weird way, because I think when you hear a cliche, it's something you write off as like, oh, that's so cliche. But there's a reason things are that way, right? There's a reason cliches exist. Is because they're true, right? Is that they work. Is that they are, I guess, universal. And that's, I don't know, it's weird. Like, it got me thinking about cliches a lot and how people view them. Kind of unwisely, almost. But,
yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people think like cliches are inherently bad because they're used a lot. And I definitely think, while there is something to that, something isn't bad just because it's popular, because it's used a lot. Which, considering that the fact that the entire album might be a bit more standard in terms of, I don't even know what music kind of goes for, in opposed to like what Porter was doing in the past, which is a lot more esoteric stuff. I think it definitely helps that message, and it can apply to a lot of other things as well. Personality, how you convey yourself to others, how you present yourself to the world, or how you act, stuff like that. Which go figure is another fucking theme of the entire album. I agree.
Right.
I didn't think about that too much until you said it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about Easier to Love You now, as I think this is like a tear-dripper favorite for a lot of people. I know it's our mutual friend Jordan's like top 3 song on the album. It's up there. For her, I don't think it's her favorite. I think her favorite's Russian Roulette, but it's definitely up there for her, and I get why. This song, it's really cool in how it flips a lot of cliches in like a love song writing, right? Like the big cliche of, if only you could see yourself how I see you, then you'd understand why I love you so much. But it's turned in a you-be on himself, and I think that's really cool. Kind of saying like, if only I could see me the way past me could have seen me, or if only past me could see me in the way that future me sees him, and how that could have affected our actions and our judgment of ourselves. And I think that's just, it's a really unique message. Like, I don't hear a lot of songs do that. I think it's really cool. It's a really interesting way to tackle self-loathing or self-love.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Definitely is one of the just more. I think out of all the songs on the album, probably is the one that is going to attempt to pull your heartstrings and try and make you like invoke a physical reaction out of you. It didn't for me, but I did enjoy it, and I do understand that, and I do think a lot of the lyrics are good. You know, looking at who you are in the past and looking at how you are in the future, and understanding not just how you were acting, but understanding that mindset, who you were at that time, and then moving forward. It's a lot about perception, which I think is very, very solid, a very, very good thing to invoke. I think let me see. I had an exact wording. It's not my favorite just because of how slow it is. I do like how most of the other songs have at least a steady canter, but I thought it was very, very solid and a great transition from the kind of hyperactive nature of Kitsune Maison, which I thought was very, very good.
Yeah, I do think it is a really interesting that you mentioned the sonic contrast between Easier to Love You and Kitsune Maison, because I think Kitsune Maison is pretty easily like one of the most disjointed sounding songs on the record, besides maybe Year of the Cup. And those two songs being back to back, I mean, go figure, that's going to amplify it as well. But Easier to Love You is a very simple song, mostly just guitar, drums, and bass, which is weird for Porter, but really welcome in my opinion. I think it's a really pretty song. But yeah, the song after is probably my least favorite on the record. I believe it's Mona Lisa, right? Is the next song?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, Mona Lisa is good. I think the feature on it is really good. I think the sound on it is really good as well. I think it has a really unique production style. Kind of an earworm. That's about where my compliments end. Because I think other than that, it's just like a pretty unique love song that doesn't really evoke a whole lot for me. But I will say, I've heard it goes really hard live, because they extend the ending of the track, like the whole one more face to the door. Like they extend that bit, apparently, when they play it live. That sounds really cool. But like I said, I'm not crazy about it. I think it's alright.
I'm looking at my notes here. I think this is the one song I had the least to say on as well. I like the instrumentation. I think I like the instrumentation on every single song on this entire album.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop saying that because it's just true. But I understand what you're saying. I don't think I would say it's my least favorite on the album, because I do enjoy it. I do like what it's doing, at least in a very surface level sense. But I get what you mean. There's not, out of all the songs, it almost feels like the most confused / maybe a little bit underbaked. Like as an idea, it could have used a bit more time to develop. It makes me wonder if when they were making this entire album, this was the last song they made and kind of put in there, maybe either like through rush time or something like that.
Oh.
I think it could have done with maybe a bit more time, a bit more crafting, because otherwise it kind of just feels like a song that is certainly there, that connects to song, that's enjoyable, but not on its own a whole lot, which is a little disappointing, but not damning by any means.
No, yeah, I definitely agree, and I think its biggest sin, in my opinion, is being sandwiched between Easier to Love You and Is There Really No Happiness, which I'm very eager to talk about. Because like if there's any track on the record that I skip, it is Mona Lisa, but mostly because of what comes after. This is the other contender for my favorite song on the record. I adore Is There Really No Happiness. I think Porter was right in regretting not making it a single, but I don't really care, because we have it now, and it is heart-wrenching for me. The song, it basically deals entirely with nostalgia and trying to relive past experiences that will never be as good as they were in your memory. And it's that mixed with just the classic of like, the classic cliche of just like, is there really no happiness without you near me, talking about maybe a loved one or a significant other. And like, it's such a good song. It's sonically one of, I think, his best too. I've analyzed it a bit deeper in that video, and part of why it, like, what makes it stick so well for me. There's like a neat little detail in the chorus that I love with the little synths going. It's really cool. So it's such a dumb thing to say, but I make a special note of it in the video because I loved hearing that and being like, "Ooh, that's really cool! Whoa!" But yeah, I love the song. I think it's got some of his best lyrics as well. Kind of ties a lot of the whole record together as well in a weird way, because it's not really about a central theme of the record. It's more just a central theme of Porter, I guess, because he talks about nostalgia a lot. But yeah. I love the song.
You know, Bimler, some people die of nostalgia, so you better look out.
What?
This can't be happening. I'm kidding.
He didn't finish it. He goes, "Just kidding." Good one.
I agree with a lot of the lyric stuff you said. You're not gonna pull the wool. You're not gonna get me to finish this bit. You're not. I'm an independent soul. You'll never control me like that. But I very much agree. I think when it comes to Is There Really No Happiness in Everything, to me, the last two songs, I am torn whether I like the beginning of the album or the end of the album more. The first three songs versus the last three.
Okay.
It is, or last two, I should say. It is very hard for me because, well, I could definitely say my favorite songs are Russian Roulette and Cheerleader. What really, like, Happiness and Everything to me just do is, like, so fucking good. It is, compared to just, like, the pure raw feeling that the start of the album like indicates, Really No Happiness and Everything to me, I think, do it, like, when I was talking about substance and style intertwining and working really well together, do it the absolute best out of anything in the album.
Ooh.
It is master crafted to me. Like some of the lyrics, the vertigo of trying to get close to who I was before I was remembering, saying some things are best left remembered. How does that help me? Just something so fucking hard.
I love the way he delivers that
hard.
line too. Oh my god, like just like that frustrated. How's that help me? Like kind of sounds like he's breaking character for a second. That's really cool.
And like that theme of nostalgia that you mentioned, just the idea of trying to reattain something that can never be attained again. The past is the past. That's what it is. It's always, I think a lot of this album is a lot of Porter struggling with things that either he can't have or things that he doesn't want to have. It is struggling with like unattainment and things that he does not want, which I think is very, very interesting. It's very, very thought-provoking. It's very indicative of almost like a static situation where he's not moving forward. He's not like actively changing. It's more just like rage. It is more like raw emotion, clawing at the claws. Like what is it? The bars to your cell, and just frustration rather than movement, rather than actual development, which I think with the themes of the album is very, 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 very good for me. I also probably just like the ending a lot for that one. Really No Happiness ends off really, really well. I mentioned it. Porter, some people die in nostalgia, better look out. Peen.
Just kidding. Good one.
Just kidding.
Smiles. Colon D.
Smile.
Colon D. Smile. Colon D. Smile. Exclamation point.
Colon 3. Colon 3.
This album would be a 10 if it was called Smile, colon 3. But we should talk about the closer, Everything to Me, because I'm kind of surprised you like that one so much. Because from what you say about Year of the Cup and Easier to Love You, like I kind of expected you to not like Everything to Me.
No, I think the reason I like Everything to Me so much, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much if it was a lot more independent, but specifically because it's attached to Really No Happiness, I really liked it. I thought the way it started was really nice, the way it's almost like ethereal, like you're a fucking fairy with the chimes and the bells just like drifting through a garden. I thought that was very nice. It immediately sets itself up as something different, something that immediately, like, your attention snaps back to the album and you start listening to it. I think specifically because of that is the reason I liked it, because that got me to listen to some of the lyrics, some of the the deeper messaging.
That track used to end a different way on the Spotify version of the album, by the way. They changed it and it pisses me off. It used to end on the drum beats, now it's a fade out. And I kind of hate it. Kind of hate that they changed that. I don't know why they did. It frustrates me. But I mean, Everything to Me, let's be real, it is the complete opposite side of the coin with Knock Yourself Out. Like, they are polar opposite songs. Knock Yourself Out is this bombastic, fuck all my fans anthem. And Everything to Me is a sweet, somber little guitar tune about how much he cares about his fans. So, yeah, I it's really profound, and it kind of gives the album, it completes, I think, it kind of already had the feeling, but it definitely ties together completely. The album's like feeling of a kind of like reevaluation of his relationship with his fans and himself and his art and his, career. And it all kind of comes full circle and Everything to Me, because it's when he finally admits, like, okay, yeah, I love this. And I shouldn't be saying these things,
It's almost like stages of grief, where like he immediately starts out with, screaming and anger, then he kind of goes down to bargaining, denial, then all the way at the end, it's immediately to acceptance. It's that raw, like, red rage emotion at the beginning slowly dies out over the course of the album, and then it's kind of just more mellow melancholy at the end. And I think that for that reason as well, I really appreciate Everything to Me. It is, I feel like, in terms of the message, it is the most honest, while everything before is more like just violent thrashing around saying It also has a lot of very good lyrics. You don't know me, but you know me. This seems like it's everything to me. And maybe I'm addicted to the look in your eyes.
That's a great
Those three
line.
very much stuck with me.
I also, where is it? I do like the I guard my soft mind because I have to, didn't want to.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah. And also like the last like real lyrics of the record before it repeats the chorus, that I shouldn't say I love you, but I don't know your name, but I'll just say it anyway because it feels the same, is like he acknowledges the fact that it's like, this is kind of parasocial, but at the same time, like, I genuinely care about what I have so much, and it's not necessarily that I'm like, I'm talking to you, random citizen. I love you, random citizen. Like Metro Man from fucking Megamind. But like, it's more like the entity that is his fan base and what he does as a one thing that he loves. I think it's really cool. And it's good that he acknowledges that conundrum, because I think like that is an easy critique you could make about it, is like, that's kind of parasocial, and he's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I guess so, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's a pretty great way to close the record, and even though it's not one of my favorite like standalone tracks, it is a very, like, I don't know if there's a better way you could have closed the album. So
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, it's my favorite. This is my favorite Porter album. I knew that pretty soon after it came out, and I was like skeptical for a while because I love Nurture, and I was like, I don't know, maybe it'll like fall off after a little bit, because it's like, it's recent and it's been months and I still feel the same way. It's phenomenal. I love Smile, and I think like every piece of this album just kind of works to me. I love that every track is kind of about something different. I love the change in sound, as it allows it to be both more fun and more raw. It's also refreshing for Porter. I love the track order. I love the single choices. I love the aesthetic of the record. Genuinely, like, yeah, this is my second favorite album that came out in 2024. We already talked about my favorite, but this is probably number 2. And bravo, Porter. I adore this thing. I'd give it like a 95. Like, out of 100, it is so good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I enjoyed this album very thoroughly. I listened to it quite a few times, and now I'm going to be listening to it in my free time. I didn't listen to it when it first came out, and I don't have as much of a personal connection to Porter in the past. I wasn't the biggest on his music because I was a dumb, stupid kid who didn't really understand what was good for him at the time. But it is the kind of the case where, well, I don't think it hit me as probably hard as it hit you. It still hit me pretty notably. I think in the end, I'd probably scored around a 90 to 91. Definitely an A for me. Definitely an A, at least in terms of setup and quality. Maybe not in terms of my enjoyability. There would be songs that I probably enjoy more. And that the other album we talked about in our test runs, the one that you really liked from last year, is definitely one I would prefer to listen to just in general for the general plot. That album being Nobody's Listening, by the way, you should listen to that. It's a very good album.
Yes, Nobody's Listening by Wishlane. That was my album of the year last year. Goated. Check it out. But
I still like this one. I think in the end you could say it made me smile.
Start laughing.
Pinch his arm. I'm funny. Start scratching my skin. I'm really funny. I'm a funny guy.
Right. So that was episode 1 of Music Box. We talked about Smile by Porter Robinson. We both really like this record. Next week, the album we're listening to for the next episode, which should be next week, hasn't actually come out yet, but we know what it is. It's this album. Oh my god.
Is that one right there?
Whoa.
Look at it.
What?
Look at it.
This is one of my most highly anticipated albums of the year. Okay. This is one of my old favorite artists. I've shown Pyrine their most recent full-length album. Isn't this one. And he really liked it. And yeah, it comes out in 2 days. So we're going to listen to it, and that's what we'll talk about in the next episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. And
do let us know if you have any opinions on Smile yourself. Please put it in the comments below. That would be a wonderful idea, as well as liking and subscribing and doing all those things as well. Support him. This guy's making it. He's doing all the work. I'm mooching off him. I'm like a
He's
leech.
deranged. This guy's.
But do let us know what you think.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next one. Adios. Toodles.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.